All right, welcome back to the channel. It's Mo Money with G. This is Raptor Rundown Game 2. Uh, G went from absolute elation last night or the night before to the look on his face tonight. G, I usually open the show with comments from my end, but based on the look on your face, I'm gonna give you the floor first, brother.
Sports aren't complicated. There's wins and there's losses, but there's some losses, man, that are so much worse than the other ones. And this one might have taken the cake as like maybe the worst loss in recent memory uh, of anything. And I watch every game of every season since 2018, and then it was a little scattershot before then. But I've never witnessed a more predictable collapse where it was like somehow they found a way. You didn't think they could give it away, but they found a way to give it away in the most spectacularly random and I would love to say unfortunate, but it's just bad basketball, being out of control, being ridiculous. They looked so immature, like it was Pascal's first year the way he was playing. The the reason I kind of said there's some losses that are worse than others is that left a taste in my mouth that I'm sure is pretty prevalent around all Toronto fans right now. And it's a taste of all those worst moments piled into one nasty hairball that we were forced to swallow and witness tonight. I've got reaction shots of me live watching it because I was trying to set up this new, or just on my phone here with a new tripod. I'll send you them later, man. But it's a literal just like I can't believe what I'm watching, and you see this like dissociated look on my face, kind of just
So
like you're watching a car crash and you're just not sure how to react.
you just can't look away.
Yeah, yeah, in horror. And man, that's my first take. Where are you at with this?
Um, well, do you want me to start at the beginning or the end? And where do you want me to start here? Because,
Man, I feel like it already is the end. I get pretty up and down on this, and that's going to be part of my whole thing. But man, start at the beginning.
well, okay, let's go to the first quarter. The game starts. The Raptors are playing phenomenal defense. And just for you guys out there in YouTube land, buckle up because this was a roller coaster of a night. Would that be a way to describe it, G? A roller coaster of an evening?
Man, the kind of roller coaster that you don't really take your kids on unless they've like either really been really good or really bad, depending on how much they like
Or
roller
they've been
coasters.
begging.
Because that was one of the craziest roller coasters.
Yeah, so we'll go right back to the beginning. The Raptors start the game on an 8-0 run, playing phenomenal defense. And I text you after that 8-0 run, and you were like, and it was 12-2, I think, by the time you got back to me. And you were
Yeah,
like, new era, fam. This is how good the game had started for the Raptors.
yeah,
And
it's
I
just
went for
carrying on.
my dinner break, right? Because I take my dinner breaks. But I came back and the Raps were down five in the second quarter at about 8:29 to go. What happened between 12-2 and my dinner break?
you know I wish I could say anything more than they just didn't put the ball in the net. It was a drought. Nobody could put the ball in the hoop.
Because even when I came back, they couldn't hit the broadside of a barn, dude.
Man, like that has to be mental. Like, why is it so team wide when it goes like that?
What I want to know is, and I like you have been watching every Raptor game for the better part of forever. And how do you go from being up 10 with about 5 minutes to go in the first quarter to down 19
And then come back and go up 10.
and be up 10 late in the fourth quarter? People don't understand how bad this was. They were up 10 with about 5:53 to go in the fourth quarter. And remember, the Bulls went on that 7-8-0 run there to put it within three. And then I
Man,
thought we were going to get lucky because DeRozan missed the free throw to put the ball, and the Raptors got the ball. And then they got called for the push off before the inbound.
the
And then I
sequence.
thought, okay, DeRozan's gonna hit these two free throws, and we're gonna lose this game, and it'll be a 1 point Raptor loss. And he misses the free throw, and we're going to overtime. And the Raptors had their chances to win this ball game, and they couldn't do it. And then the heartbreak of all heartbreaks is the Raptors are up two with about 12 seconds left in the game, and Caruso, who you saw lovingly brought up in the last episode of the Raptor Rundown, hits the game-winning shot, and he's probably thinking to himself, "There you go, G. That's your karma for speaking about me."
Did I trash Caruso? Because I regret that for sure.
I remember the words weren't too friendly. I can tell you that. I'd have to go back to the first episode, but it like I don't pretend to be a hard. Well, I do watch all the games, so that's a lie. I am a huge Raptor fan, but my heart bleeds purple and gold. It always has. It always will, and I don't make an apology for that. How does it feel right now for a member of Raptors Nation? What's going through your head?
You could write a book on this game. Like just how symbolic it is of the Raptors' biggest problem. You can't collapse like that and not have something rotten in the foundation. Like if your house collapses on the first week, like let's say you move into a new house and the floors immediately go out, the foundation is falling apart in the basement or whatever, you would wonder who the hell built this and why did they do it this way? So as a Raptors fan, I feel like it's just really frustrating right now because we continue to have a rotten foundation somewhere in this organization.
Now, here's the problem that kind of tipped me off, and people will say I'm ready for the comments to be like, "You're reading too much into this, Mo." But I don't know if you caught this or not. They showed the victory celebration for the head coach where they were jumping around and popping the champagne bottles and celebrating like they had just won the NBA title for the
Yeah.
second time in franchise history. I don't know. Did you catch that?
Yeah. And you know what? I was like, hey, that's cute. You know, they're all pumped up. They're feeling like a family. Let's go. You know, that's what was part of the new era thing. Like, let's just embrace a new energy. They've built a new foundation culture of a new head coach, new staff, new uh, message from the top on how you're going to play. Old habits die hard, I guess, man.
And you know what's funny is when we were talking about this with the Minnesota Timberwolves, we said on opening night for the Raptors that this would be a game that they usually found a way to lose. And
Mm-hmm.
tonight they had I swear they had four different opportunities to put this game away, and they just couldn't do it.
I have on my phone while I was reacting to it, I have Matty D and Jack saying, in all of their years of watching basketball, not just broadcasting, but watching basketball, And we're talking probably close to 100 years combined between those two worth of basketball,
And,
and they've never
and
seen anything like it. Never seen anything like it.
Matty D and Big Jack are two of the best in the game. Let's face it.
And they called it as it is. They've never seen anything like that ending. Like it like you know, you'll have to go YouTube it if you haven't seen this game, because people could parlay this into going viral. Because man, we should do a deep dive at some point and break down play by play until that final play when Caruso drops the three with, I don't know, what was it, 6 seconds, like 3 seconds left
I
or
think it was
something,
like 3 seconds left or something, 2.3 or something like that.
after picking Pascal's pocket, like in a classic thing that he would do in the first year, like classic Pascal, head down, driving through the middle of the key, clean swipe, grabs it, and then goes and drops the three on the next play down. I want to know how much is Caruso getting paid this year and how much is Pascal, because it's probably in the tens of millions in difference.
Here's the thing. You know
Tens of
how
millions.
remember how we always say, like, there's a moment in the game where you're like, that's when I knew we were in trouble.
Mm-hmm.
Well, that moment was for me in the fourth quarter. The Raptors were up. All they had to do was inbound the ball and they would have been golden. And they launch it into the backcourt where the guy has to jump up to literally grab the ball. He passes to nobody. The Bulls recovered. DeRozan turns it into an and one 3-point play. And that's when I was like, okay, the Raptors aren't gonna. There's no way they come back to it. That moment was so deflating in this basketball game. I can't even put it into words, dude.
Man, I couldn't agree more. That was well put. Really well put. I I would I would pack it in if I was Masai. Put yourself in Masai's shoes. Tell me what your reaction is to that. Could you have a measured, businessman dissociation from it? Could you have a non-emotional,
I'm tearing up my office.
right? You have to
If
be.
I if I'm Messiah, I'm tearing up my office. Because how? Number one, why would you launch an inbound pass that far and that high?
You can
Like he
forgive
had to
one
literally
mistake.
leap. He had to literally leap up to get the ball. And I wish it was just one mistake until I heard they had 12 turnovers in the first half and 25 turnovers throughout the night. You're not going to win too many games turning the ball over 25 times, G.
Man, and some of them were like, they would just make you stop. Whoever you are, in whatever level of basketball fandom that you're in, it would make you almost just stop in speechlessness of, oh, did that guy just have a brain fart or something? Because he just literally just threw it away. Like he didn't know where to put it, so he just threw it away. There was bizarre things in this game that I just don't even know how to chalk up to a specific thing other than train wreck. And this is what the Raptors are now becoming known for. Finding ways to, like, spectacularly train wreck.
Would you
Like,
compare this? I know it's early, and I know the comments will say we're overreacting. But
no, not this one.
remember how we used to say on the podcast how the Hawks are overrated? Would you say that the Raptors are headed into Atlanta Hawk territory after a performance like this?
Oh man, they're heading into Chicago Bulls territory, like similar to Atlanta. Yeah, there's something rotten in the foundation, and they keep trying to change the external parts. It
Are
ain't
they just
working.
gonna be mid for the next 5 years until they do something different?
I'll tell you what, I'll stop being a fan, I think, if we don't change the structure. Now, I say that because I'm just upset. But man, what a deflating, frustrating experience it is to see the same thing happening over and over again. And I see that, yeah, it will be the next 5 years if we don't change up Siakam. He's a good guy, he's a great player, but he's not the leader the Raptors need. There's something off.
And I hate to break this momentum train, but don't forget to like and subscribe, comment, and all that stuff. Um, I don't know what to tell you. I mean, even I will tell you this. Even my mom came and sat with me for the last 10 minutes of the game. That's how bonkers this was. And she was like, she'd do the spirit fingers to the TV, which kind of helped the Raptors because DeRozan missed two of his free throws. But there was a stretch there where Pascal missed two free throws too, so it shouldn't even have come to that.
Mm-hmm.
The Raptors had there was there were so many times where, as a Raptor fan, and you can correct me if I'm wrong here, but you're just like, if we get this stop, or if we make this free throw, or if we get this bucket, we can close this out.
Yeah.
But every time we needed a free throw, every time we needed a jump shot, every time we needed the defense to stop, it never came.
And like you're saying, on just even the most basic things, like inbound it, hit a free throw, don't throw it away. Like literally, just don't throw it away was one of the ways we could have ended the game. Inbound it and don't throw it away. Couldn't do it. It was like they're
Game
doing
would have
the,
been over.
oh man, yeah. So it's like if you had four chances to do the most simple thing to put it away and you just can't do it, what hope? What hope does this season have?
Now, I don't mean to pile on here, G, but after game one, I remember you were feeling yourself a little bit, and you said the Raptors were at a 65% chance to do some damage in the playoffs.
Yeah,
And where do you sit on that 1 to 100 scale after a game like tonight?
zero.
Ooh.
So
And
yeah,
yeah, go ahead, G. Go
I was
ahead,
just
man.
gonna say the reason it was so high yesterday or the day before was because it was such a symbolically emotional feeling win where it felt like a breath of fresh air. It truly felt like we had won the championship because it felt like a new beginning. And I guess like all things, it's like don't ever forget about your past because it's still there. You have to learn to work with it. And the Raptors did not. They just let their past come in and create a series of some of the most like almost supernatural, right? Like it was spooky, the level of
It is
not
Halloween
being
season.
truly. And hey, the Raptors might be haunted or something at this point because yeah, that was a special level of train wreck. Like that could go down in history as one to like, throw on the reels of Shackton to Fools and such. Because wow, wow.
Okay, I'm gonna ask you the most difficult question of the night now. At least as far as you're concerned. I know it won't be the most difficult question of the season, but for tonight it might be. Do you think you've been a little hard on Nick Nurse, seeing how this team played this evening?
Man, it's funny you asked that because I was reflecting upon that that very thing. And yeah, I think I've been way too harsh. Not to just jump off all the criticism entirely. I think there was a lot of things that were
No,
fair
a lot
criticisms,
of it was warranted.
but yeah, too harsh on him being a root cause. I thought he was maybe a root cause of some of this dysfunction. No, he was just an external piece that was part of it, right? So that was, yeah, I need to back off him a little bit. So I'm willing to fold in um, my attack a little bit on that.
Take a step back, not fully disengage, but just take a step back.
A little tip of my hat and just like, all right. Sorry, sir, I got a little on your case there. My bad.
But
I'll own that.
I, I asked I asked this question because you do know that Philly's coming into the Air Canada Center tomorrow night.
Yeah, and they're professionals, right? The Raptors team will make it a good game tomorrow, but
I don't think so. I think the Raptors are in trouble tomorrow for a
honestly,
combination of things.
yeah,
For a combination of things. Number one, it's tough to get up after a demoralizing loss like this. You can tell yourself it's just a game in October. It's not. This is going to be a tough one to recover from.
I don't think
That's
you
number
can
one.
recover.
That's number one. Number two, it'll be Nick Nurse's revenge game. He's coming back to Toronto. He's going to be motivated. He'll have his guys ready to play. Number three, Philly had the night off tonight. Philly
Yep.
had the
So
night off tonight, which means they were already in Toronto.
it means they got to watch that too.
Means they got to watch that. So if they, so if Philly's at if at any point tomorrow Philly's in trouble, they'll be like, guys, they're gonna crumble. They're gonna
And
walk. They're gonna walk into our house thinking these guys are gonna crumble. All we got to do is stay close.
yeah, all we have to do is wait for them to give it to Pascal in isolation, and then have Maxey tip it away. Like it's a guaranteed success formula. Just let the Raptors beat themselves at this point because we see all the
And
same writing.
and also the Raptors have to fly home as well after playing 53 minutes of basketball in Chicago. So
If they,
with all those factors, I'm telling you, and I plan to do a Raptor rundown tomorrow night as well. I'm predicting right now the Raptors lose by 12 or more.
man, yeah, there's this little tiny Raptor fan in me that's like, no, they're gonna take this as the like, turn it into the most potent rocket fuel ever because if you have any respect for your team, the Raptors franchise, you're going to come out tomorrow and destroy the Sixers because what just happened wasn't just a loss. That was one of the most embarrassing, classic, deflating, all the things that you were saying. So there's a part of me that's like, yeah, they could come out and really just be so energized, but you know what, I don't feel that. That's the I'm lying to myself feeling. I think you're more in line with reality in that a 12-point loss sounds about right, and there's something about it, man, that just it stinks. It's like feels like they don't respect the Raptors franchise. you know, like truly, it feels like they don't respect it as a team, as a thing. Because how could you and play like that?
Yeah. I don't really know how, and I'm searching for the words, G, to help Raptors fans feel better, but there's nothing I can say.
Yeah, yeah. Because like when you think about the Sixers coming in, it's a, there's no confidence that we're going to pull out anything unless the Sixers beat themselves, which is always a possibility. But I think they smell blood, obviously, walking in and seeing what just happened. So I think, yeah, they're probably going to get steamrolled, and it's going to. This was maybe the starting gun to the long, long season, which hopefully brings change. But it looks like there's a lot of young, immature players going on right now that don't know how to play a full 48 yet.
And this is what I was talking about with the Raptors. Like, and this is compounding my frustration with the Jakob Poeltl thing because I'm like, you could have dealt OG or Pascal for 3 draft picks. I can't remember which one. 3 first rounders, and instead you spent a pick to get Poeltl, and you're worse off for that now than you would have been if you just bit the bullet and shipped somebody out for to restock the cupboards. And that I got nothing against Jakob personally. He just happens to be the piece that I target because I expect more from him giving up two picks. Instead of getting three, we ship two out. And I think that's my frustration.
You make such a good point, man. You make such a good point that if you pull back a little bit and look at that exchange, it dumbfounded all the commentators and stuff across the league, and for a good reason, you know. There's the Raptors diehards that are like, yeah, we're not giving up. What that is us betting on ourselves to win. And like you said, nothing against Pirtle, uh, and you can understand why the move was done, but in reality, what dream was Masai dreaming that this squad, as currently constructed and coached and whatever's going on there, had a shot at anything, let alone a championship where you double down on your investment like that? So you don't sign Fred, you don't trade him, you don't keep your draft picks. Now you're just looking like a fish dead in water. You
See,
know?
and that's the problem. I would have less of a problem with it if they had dealt Freddie and gotten assets back. Especially if you know, like, gee, if I'm a GM and I know that some guy is gonna go out to be a free agent and he's not coming back, why not deal him for even a second round pick? It's still an asset.
Exactly. Especially when you know he's not coming back. Like there was no expectation that Freddie was actually going to come back if you offered him the bare minimum of what it was that he's
But
looking for.
see, and my apologies to Raptor fans when I say this, and you know I'm capable of this too, so I'm just gonna say that I'm able to separate my emotion from my logic.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm not thinking about what Raptors fans want this year. I'm thinking about what sets up the franchise going forward.
And I wonder who got the final say or who was really blowing the smoke to imagine that this roster had an actual shot.
Well, there's three candidates for that answer, and I want your thoughts on all three of them. And I'll start at the very top. The first candidate for making the final call was MLSE, thinking they'd get more playoff home dates by bringing in Jakob Pertl and not trading. I can't remember if it was OG or if it was Pascal, but it was one of
OG
them was
was the
going.
one rumored to be the 3 draft picks and a player from Memphis, which could have been Dylan Brooks, honestly, and likely was Dylan Brooks being the similar player to OG and a Canadian. So it could have had Brooks and 3 first
Three
rounders.
picks. Yeah. So MLSE is my first target. I'm just going to ask you, what do you think the possibility of that is?
100%. 100%.
Well, you're not even going to leave room for the other two options?
Well, I'm going to say that there was probably a mixed bag of influence that, had that combination say that you couldn't exclude one's influence on the other, but I can't
Okay,
imagine MLSE not doing that exact mistake of what you're saying. Playoff, immediate money, we need it now, and somebody not speaking enough truth to them about what that means long term.
okay, second candidate, the president, the man, the myth, the legend, Masai Ujiri. He's also a candidate for making a move to stay relevant. What do you think his role in all of this would be?
Oh man, he's as guilty or equally culpable, they say, as MLSE. He's not only the president, but he sits as a co-chair, so he gets a vote.
Yeah. So he'd almost be lumped in with MLSE.
Yeah, he's got the blue paint on his. When the thing explodes when they're trying to rob the bank. He's got paint on him, man. He's guilty. you know. Who's
And
the
the
third?
third, and maybe the guy that's caught in the crossfire, the third name that comes up is Bobby Webster, the GM of the Toronto Raptors.
This is the interesting one to me because he's kind of your eyes and ears. He's supposed to be the expert in not only management, but the expert of experts. He's your information highway. So Masai is relying on him to be the basketball guru for the team, essentially, to be filtering all the scouts, all the advisors. It goes through Bobby to an extent. And if Bobby is not able to communicate effectively and appropriately with Masai, he's just as guilty as it would be an equal level of guilt.
So would you say it's 33% across the board?
At this point, yeah, that's my total perspective. What about what's your numbers?
I'm going to say it's 66% Masai, and I'm going to say it's 33% MLSC.
Mm,
And I'm not letting Bobby off the hook here. But honestly, Bobby hasn't done anything since Masai left. Since Masai moved up to the presidency and co-chair,
mm,
Bobby has done nothing for this Raptor franchise.
true.
And to that end, the reason I don't put any of the blame on Bobby is I believe, and I could be wrong, and I'm sure the comments will come after me on this one too. I think Bobby Webster is MLSE's puppet.
Yeah, that's a hot take that I'm actually curious to get into because he's always been a media friendly guy, but isn't that his main job then? Is he just a face that they put out there that can have wings with Leo Routens and stuff, um, and be a very friendly, intelligent young businessman?
But he's not
But
even the face. If you
but
think about this logically, when the Raptors make a move, it's never Bobby Webster makes a move. It's always Messiah and the Raptors make a move.
yeah,
It's still Messiah is still the centerpiece.
yeah, and the
It,
buck stops somewhere, and it's like he's the face of where the buck stops. It's like
like
Bobby is strategist more than representative, right?
I really don't think it's Bobby making the moves. I think I think they just gave Messiah promotion and they put Bobby there to take the heat off of Messiah.
Yeah, that's probably not far off. I mean, just from the far outside, I could see that being the case because Masai
Like
commands so much power and influence. Yeah,
I'm just going off of what I see because
yeah,
if you really look at the Raptors organization, you never hear anybody blaming Bobby Webster.
yeah. It's almost like, yeah, it's not a compliment to him. It's just that he's not doing anything. He's just a figurehead of sorts, a puppet.
Yeah,
So when you think about,
that's my theory.
well, yeah, if you want to, yeah, say like, let's take a look at the draft picks over the last few years, just the general player development, player retention, all these things that you would judge a manager on. Nobody actually looks to him to judge it on because it's everybody's goes Masai and MLSE for final judgment on the team's overall makeup and success. Um, so that's a very interesting point, and I would wonder behind closed doors who does have the most say, and how much does Bobby get in there, and
And
you
and
know,
I'm not and like I said, I'm not letting Bobby off the hook. You're the GM. If you think they're making the wrong move, you gotta at least say something.
and
Even if you're outvoted, even if you're outvoted, you
man,
have to at least stand up for yourself. And it
Yeah.
doesn't seem like Bobby's doing that because Bobby gets none of the blame when things go wrong in Raptorland.
Yeah, that's such a good point, man. I would like, let's say we were doing employee reviews, right? But we're doing it for the Raptors executive brass, and we're assessing them. And okay, we've got Bobby coming in next there. Mo, you're going to do this one. Just run through the questions with him and stuff. You could ask him, man, what would you say are your most influential decisions and moves while in your time here? And what did you regret and what do you feel proud of from those decisions? Because you could pick a lot apart from what he claims as his own and what he um, hides or whatever away from, and you'd get a good
One of the other
indication, right?
question, One of the other questions I'd ask Bobby Webster in that interview is, do you feel you had the correct amount of power to do your job to the best of your ability?
That's the question. Yeah, that's well said. Yeah, I'd be so curious at the answer to that, man.
I'd be interested if you gave him truth serum and he had to tell you the truth. I'd be very curious to hear that answer. Do you feel
Right?
like you've had absolute ability to do your job to the best of your ability?
Yeah. And what were some of the, like, let's say, Mr. Bobby Webster, if you were final say since 2019 and you had full control over our final decisions, what decisions would you have made honestly, and why? And depending on his integrity, he'll tell you his actual um, thoughts or whatever. Like in a vacuum, if you were back in that same mindset, not using the information you have today, but just in that same mindset, what was your final say on the draft picks, on the trades, on the, et cetera, extensions and non-extensions? And I'd be really curious to see if he had, company man, yeah, just was all the same, or if he had drastically different ideas.
I don't know. And like I said, I could be completely wrong, but that's just from the way I view the team and the league and the way
Yo,
things have been operating over there at MLSC. I really think Bobby doesn't have the power that the organization claims that he does.
yeah, yeah, and it could be a major problem. Like if Messiah has all the power and he's not being well informed because he's got too much power and he doesn't have the right structure, it starts to make sense why there's this janky sort of squad that's put together and how it looks sometimes. Uh, I had a good question for you too on what would you do if you were Bobby Webster? What would you do at this point right now? I guess would be one question. Oh, it was about Bob Myers. Have you seen Bob Myers on ESPN in the last little bit? He's the
No, I have not.
Warriors. So he's the Warriors ex president and
GM.
GM. He's almost the messiah of the Golden State era, right?
Yeah.
And he's the most associated with the front office, at least, let's say. Um, his opinions and insights are very interesting because you feel this like this guy is not backing down in the boardroom. He's going to have his opinion heard, whether they go with it final say or not. He is going to let you know where exactly he stood on it. Because when Stephen A is pushing and this and that, not many people will take an emotional, serious response to Stephen A and tell him how it actually is and be able to
No,
back it up
because
with saying, da 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 da. And you pick up personality traits off that. Bobby doesn't have that.
but here's the difference between Bob Myers and Bob Webster. You ready? Bob Myers sat back and he looked at Golden State and he took a good honest look at the organization. He said, I won 4 championships. I built this thing. I've made Steve Kerr a Hall of Fame coach, even though he doesn't deserve it. Because let's face it, he's going to the Hall of Fame because of the Golden State Warriors' success.
First ballot.
And I just and and I see this dynasty ending, so I'm gonna get out of here early so that none of this rebuild, I don't get the stink of none of this rebuild on me. Bobby Webster is the fool that came in after the championship and they said, look, you're going to try build us another one, but it's going to go to the, if you do it, the credit's going to go to Masai because everybody's going to go, look at Masai's handpicked guy. He got it done. And if you struggle, they're just going to go, Bobby Webster wasn't ready to be a GM in the NBA.
Mm-hmm.
So it makes Masai bulletproof either way. Because if Bobby succeeds, he's the handpicked guy. Bobby fails, he wasn't ready to be a GM in the league. So
Mm-hmm.
Masai's covered either way.
That's such a good point because that's true. That's bang on. And that's how power is well maintained, right? People with power know how to maintain it. And Masai obviously knew exactly what he was doing with that, right?
Cause do you notice he got out right after that championship run?
It's it's quite funny, you know, because he's super young. He's not retire mode, and then you see him on these shows. Like check out him. It's him, Stephen A. and Michael Wilbon, and that's actually a really nice panel because you have two OGs in the broadcasting world, and then you have a guy that can actually hold his own up there because all these ex players and stuff just get drowned out by Stephen A. and Wilbon's classic OG um, energy. But for Bob to come from the inner office of the team with the most championships in the last 2 decades, he comes with this respect level. But man, he has an energy where you can tell that he wasn't quiet when it came to his opinion on these things. Uh,
No, and that's the thing. I think like a lot of Raptor fans, the problem with Raptor fans, and I get it because they're Canada's team and we all love them and we want to see them do well every year. They want to be MLSE. They want to go and get the Jakob Pertl every year. They
mm,
want to be in the hunt. They don't even have to believe they can win. They just want to add a piece so that they can say management doing something for us. Whereas
interesting.
me, I will sit back and I will say this team is mid and there's no way around it. So
Yeah.
let's go get our three first round draft picks. And yeah, we might miss the playoffs this year and maybe even next year, but we're setting ourselves up for a 5 or 6 year run.
Could have had 6 first round draft picks. If you sent Fred, you probably could have gotten 3 firsts for Fred through like some mixed up interchange or something, maybe 2. I
You
don't know.
know, this is what I mean. Like, and this has always been the Raptor problem. They don't want to trade their pieces at the deadline. You watch
Yeah,
this year. We have three prominent free agents: Gary Trent Jr. Uh, I can't remember the other two off the top of my head. You're gonna
OG
have to help
and
me out.
Pascal.
OG and Pascal. Now, okay, we got three major chips, but you know what's gonna happen, don't you? I'll tell you
All
exactly what. I'll tell you exactly what's gonna happen, Raptor fans, and it is October 27th, 2023. At the time of this take, the Raptors are gonna hover around seventh in the East because the East is weak, and the Raptors will get by on teamwork and hard work and their defensive ability. So they'll finish around the play-in tournament, but I'm guessing they'll finish in the top end. And Raptors management will go, we can't trade these three guys. We need them for the playoff run. And then they'll go and get some mediocre piece like I know he's retired, but just bear with me. Like a Mike Miller, a name that'll look good, a name that'll look good that's past its prime and isn't going to contribute that much,
mm,
and the Raptors will go and trade a pick or two to bring that piece in. And instead of having a bonanza of picks from trading your free agents because you're mid and setting yourself up for the future, the Raptors are going to end up in the play in somewhere between 7 and 10. They're going to trade for a piece instead of doing what they should do, which is trade their free agents because they're mid and they're going to be mediocre again.
Man, I think that is just the truth. And all Raptors fans should just hear that. Emotions aside, you just got to hear that, because the refusal to actually face reality here has sort of just hit me tonight. And it's like, yeah, we got to stop lying to ourselves about this. Like, we need a big group meeting for all Raptors fans. Like, okay, guys, we've been lying to ourselves. Let's just start over here. Who do we need and what do we need? Because we can't carry on pretending that this is a squad that can go further than the first round. It's just not. So what are we going to do? Pretend for the rest of the decade? Or are we going to do what you have to do, the painful part of a rebuild, and find a good leader and build, you know? Yeah. We could have had so many picks and even traded for a great leadership player pick if you were wanting to
I'm sorry
rebuild
for the
around.
truth bomb, but I think it needed to be said.
Yeah, I agree wholeheartedly. I'm having that come to God realization of like, yeah, let's let's not get any expectations around anything past mid, because it that's even hopeful. And the best thing we could hope for right now is some interesting trades, or what? What's the best case scenario and worst case scenario that you see right now?
You want to know my best case scenario for the Raptors?
Yeah.
And this is gonna hurt. I'm gonna hurt some feel. I'm gonna call this hurt feelings
Mm,
segment because that's what I'm about to do here. The best case scenario for the Raptors this year is to finish 13th in the East, not have a hope at the play-in, and trade their three picks because they ain't got a choice. That is the best case scenario for the Raptors this year. And this is coming from a guy who just decided this year to do Raptor rundown segments because he thought it'd be fun. And I'm
man,
telling you, the best thing for them is to finish 13th in the East where they have no hope at the play in.
yeah, there's this deep irony that the Raptors ran us down. They ran their fans down. They reversed the whole thing. Oh
That,
man.
that's just, am I wrong?
No,
Stop me when I'm lying.
that's best case scenario. Now, what's worst case scenario?
Okay, worst case scenario, hear me out on this, is the Raptors find a way to finish sixth. Because you know what happens then? Everybody comes back to this moment on October 27th, 2023, and they go, ha ha, Simo, you were wrong. Until you end up playing Milwaukee and you get beat by Dame Lillard and Giannis Antetokounmpo in 5 games, and then Mo was right, and you should have tanked to get to trade your three free agents. But the reason why I say finish sixth is because then they avoid the play in to boot. And
Mm,
that's worse because that gives you false hope.
man, man.
Stop me when I'm wrong.
No, it's so true, and it's scary that that's more likely the scenario, right?
It is more likely that they finish sixth than 13th. Yes,
It just seems like bad business to me, you know? Like, you're
because
gonna have a
because
fan base,
if you draw Milwaukee, you're gone in 5,
man.
and if you
That,
draw Boston, you're probably gone in 4.
oh yeah. And even Philly has their number, so let's not even pretend that any of them would be
Because
favorited,
guess what? The Unicorn dropped 30 points opening night for the Celtics.
man. On the
Like
Celtics,
it.
I think golf energy there still an issue. Um, Jalen
Well, there's
Brown,
golf energy at the ACC too. I told you, opening night in Toronto, it looked
hey,
like a summer league game.
hey, fans knew where the energy was. They didn't even bother coming out. They knew.
For opening night,
Hey
for
man,
opening night,
they were smarter than us. We got in there, watching to hear from way out on the West Coast, saw them in their little scrimmage, got all excited. But Toronto fans there obviously knew this is a joke. This is the same thing we've seen every year. Let's wait till some adults show up and decide to make some decisions because nobody's
Oh,
making any decisions.
oh, I knew because remember at the end of game one, I said one thing that worries me is the Raptors play down to their competition.
Bam, and you hit it on the head there, man. You really did because they did that and then played down to something that's below any level of professional basketball to finish it.
Like you and I have been watching basketball for a long time. Tonight's game was a 1990s NBA on NBC classic. It was 80 to 75 the whole way. It was a defensive struggle. It looked like something right out of the early 90s.
Man. And then the finish just felt like it was out of a like a surreal dream picture thing. Like it just, I still can't even quite comprehend what happened.
Yeah, that's pretty much where we're at. You can't comprehend what happened. Uh, I do plan to do a rundown tomorrow night as well with the Sixers game, especially with it being Nick Nurse's return to Toronto.
that
I don't
sounds
know if you're busy tomorrow. Huh?
that sounds pretty prime to me, man. I don't think I'm doing anything tomorrow. I think I'll be staying in, so that'd be good.
Well, I think we've done all we can for tonight.
I think so
This has
too.
been the wrap. This has been the Raptor rundown. I'm sure I'm gonna take heat for all the Raptor hate. I'm sure it'll be viewed as Raptor hate when I'm just being honest. But
Hmm.
it is what it is.
What else can you call it? That Raptors trash? It was
Yeah.
trash.
Well, if you don't hate me by now, don't forget to like and subscribe. This has been the Raptor rundown, game two of the 23-24 season. For my co-host G, who is kind enough to join me once again. I'm Mo Money, and as always, may the ego come from a place that keeps you humble. Mamba out, and we'll see you tomorrow night for Raptors Rundown Game 3.